Modern streamer tactics have changed the face of fly fishing. These days, massive articulated streamers are catching truly giant meat-eating trout, oftentimes out of water that we wouldn't have even considered fishing in the past. My friends at Trident Fly Fishing asked me if I could share some insights on choosing the right fly rod for hucking big streamers, some thoughts on casting these behemoth flies, and some of the techniques we use for success. Today's streamers incorporate many fly tying materials including deer hair, marabou, rubber legs, synthetic flash, and lead eyes. To achieve sinister, lifelike actions, most of them are tied articulated, oftentimes using shanks as the skeleton of the fly. The idea behind fishing a giant streamer is to get a reaction strike out of a large predatory fish, especially giant brown trout. Casting and fishing these big bait fish patterns takes the right rod, some modified casting, and a variety of retrieves to be successful. The new G-Loomis Imx Pro Streamer rods were designed specifically to overcome the challenges of modern streamer fishing. These rods could be considered fast action, however here at G-Loomis we consider them streamer action. They have a powerful tip which aids in roll casting a large fly to the surface and increases power when picking it up to make your next cast. The faster tip also helps create positive action when animating a fly during the retrieve. However, unlike a true saltwater taper, these models do have some flex through the midsection of the rod. This allows for a slightly slower recovery, which is critical for reducing rod bounce when casting heavy sink tips and full sinking lines. It also promotes a slightly larger loop, which is helpful when casting large, heavy flies. While we had big brown trout in mind when we were building this series, many of the same challenges exist when chasing bass, pike, steelhead, redfish, and even bonefish when heavy flies are required. The Imx Pro Streamer series features 9-foot, 4-piece models in 7 and 8 weights. For those that are truly serious streamer junkies, we also offer 8-foot, 10-inch, 1-piece models in both 7 and 8 weight. This series utilizes conduit core technology, a new blend of scrim and resin which makes them exceptionally durable while keeping the swing weight right where it needs to be. All models feature a custom up-locking reel seat, fighting butt, a full Wells grip, and chrome guides. The 4-piece versions come with a rod sock and Cordura rod tube for storage and transportation, and the 1-piece models come with a rod sock. If you're looking for a specialized tool for casting and fishing large, heavy flies, look no further than the Imx Pro Streamer series. While these rods make casting big streamers way easier than a traditional saltwater taper, it helps to have good technique when casting. The first thing to remember is to start every movement slowly. Before you make your first back cast, make a roll cast to get your fly on the surface. Without hesitation, start your back cast slow and easy. Think about building the momentum gradually and putting the power application late in the stroke. This will help promote longer, more stable loops. It also helps to keep your rod canted to the side more than you would on a dry fly cast. Finally, a Belgium style cast works well for throwing streamers. In essence, your rod tip is traveling in a very long oval path versus a perfectly straight rod tip path. Not only does this help with casting large flies, it works exceptionally well in the wind. This takes some practice, which you should definitely do before you find yourself on the river. Now that you've delivered your fly close to the bank, it's time to make your dog hunt. Big trout respond to a variety of retrieves. It's your job to figure out what they want for the given day. Oftentimes, once you find a retrieve that works for one fish, other fish will follow the same pattern. The most basic retrieve is a simple strip. You can vary the length and speed of the strip to vary the action of the fly. The jerk strip retrieve can really get fish jacked, but it takes a bit more coordination. With your rod pointed at the bank and near the water's surface, start by making a hard downstream snap with the rod, moving it about 2 to 3 feet. Your next move is to slide the rod back to pointing at the bank while stripping in the excess slack. Repeat this move through the entire retrieve. When done right, you can really make a fly juke using this style of retrieve. Again, you can vary the speed and tempo until you find what the fish want, but typically you're moving the fly very quickly with the jerk strip. The final retrieve works well in cold water or when fish refuse a faster retrieve. It's more about bumping the fly and getting it to dead drift than ripping it back. Like the jerk strip, you're going to make your cast and start with your rod tip pointed at the bank and near the water's surface. Make 2 or 3 short, subtle bumps with the rod tip, just enough to animate the fly without moving it too much. Let the fly drift for a few seconds, during which time you move the rod back to pointing at the bank while stripping in the excess slack. This is not unlike the jerk strip, it's just much smaller, slower strips. Most importantly, keep the same tempo throughout the entire retrieve. At the end of the day, there's no right or wrong way when it comes to fishing your streamer. Experiment with numerous retrieves and animations, and try to duplicate things once you do get a positive response from the fish. When you have the right equipment, you make the great cast, you find the right retrieve, and a huge fish engulfs your streamer. It's one of the greatest moments fly fishing has to offer. For more tips and tricks and to learn more about the Imx Pro Streamer sticks, check out tridentflyfishing.com.